All right, let's dive in today. We're tackling something that I think is really important, the impact of having both parents at home. We're looking at this speech, uh, the importance of both parents at home. And, I gotta say, some of the points they bring up, it's pretty insightful stuff. Like the subtle ways just having a parent around or not having them around can really shape a kid's world. I don't think we always realize how much it matters.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And right from the start, we got to be clear about something. When we say both parents, we're not just talking about the typical mom and dad
Oh,
setup,
yes.
right?
Okay, good point.
It's more like, think about two people, really dedicated, who are taking care of a child. Could be a same-sex couple. Maybe it's the grandparents who are stepping in. The point is they're providing love, guidance, and they're working together. That's the key.
So it's less about the exact people and more about that dynamic between them. I like
Yeah.
that. But I'm curious, why is that dynamic so important? I mean, we all know kids need love and support, but what's so special about having two people there, two sets of hands, I guess you could say?
Well, imagine this, right? A kid's learning how to ride a bike. One parent's running next to them, holding onto the seat, giving them that encouragement, making them feel safe. That's your emotional support.
Okay, I'm with you.
And then the other parent, they might be standing back a bit, watching out for those wobbles, ready to give some tips on keeping their balance, how to steer. That's more like structure, maybe a little bit of discipline.
I get it. You need both of those things for the kid to really take off on their own.
Exactly. One without the other, it's not going to be as effective. Plus, with two parents, you've got different experiences, different ways of seeing things. Maybe one's really good at explaining things logically, while the other one, they connect more through feelings and emotions. So the kid gets to understand the world in a more well-rounded way.
So they're getting a crash course in both using their head and their heart. That's cool. But I'm wondering about single parents. Does this mean they're automatically at a disadvantage?
Not at all, no. A single parent can definitely do both, the emotional support and the structure. But of course, it's harder. That's where having a good support system, other people who can help, becomes really crucial. And the speech does talk about that. The challenge is when one parent isn't there, it doesn't sugarcoat the impact that can have.
You mentioned support systems, like that saying, it takes a village, right? But in your notes, you had something about what you called a silent absence, even when both parents are physically there. What's that all about?
Ah, that's where things get really interesting. Think about a parent who's physically present, but they're not really there mentally. Maybe they're super stressed from work, always on their phone. You know the deal. The child sees them, but they don't really feel seen or heard.
Oh, wow. That hits close to home. I've definitely done that, especially on busy days. But is it really that bad?
Well, research from, let me see, the Journal of Family Psychology suggests it is. It says that kids who experience that kind of emotional absence, they can actually have similar problems, behavioral and emotional issues, to kids whose parent isn't physically there at all. It's not just about being physically present, it's about really being there with them.
Wow. Okay, that's definitely something for all of us to think about. But hey, before we get too down on ourselves, the speech also talks about all the amazing benefits when both parents are truly present, really engaged. What are some of the big ones?
One of the areas where it makes a huge difference is in a child's sense of feeling emotionally secure. There was this study in 2018, I think it was in child development, and it found that kids with two parents who are actively involved, they tend to have more self-esteem, they get along better with others, and they're more resilient. They bounce back better when they face challenges.
That makes sense. It's like they've got this constant backup, the stability. They know that no matter what happens, there's this unwavering support system behind them.
You got it. And remember that analogy we used earlier about one parent being the rudder and the other one being the sail? Well, that teamwork, that collaboration, it also teaches kids something really important, a vital life skill. They learn how to navigate relationships.
So it's not just about direct lessons, it's about seeing a healthy partnership in action.
Exactly. They're watching how their parents work through disagreements, how they support each other, how they compromise. It gives them a model, a blueprint for building their own healthy relationships down the road.
That's fascinating. And I think that leads perfectly into something else you highlighted in your notes, the potential problems when a child is only exposed to one parent's perspective.
Yeah, let's dig into that a bit more. So when a child grows up mainly with just one parent's point of view, it can sometimes, give them a bit of a lopsided view of the world. It's like, imagine trying to look at a painting, but you can only use one eye.
Oh, I get it.
You miss out on all the depth, all the richness you'd see if you could use both eyes, right?
Well, that's a great way to put it. It makes you realize how much we take for granted having that balance. that two parents or caregivers can offer.
Exactly. And this isn't saying that single parents are doing something wrong. Not at all. It's more like acknowledging that they have some unique challenges and that having a strong support system, other people, to help fill those gaps is super important.
Support systems, huh?
Right.
Well, that brings me to something the speech talks about that really struck a chord with me. This idea that society, all of us, we need to step up and create environments that support families, make it easier for both parents to be more present.
Absolutely. It's about recognizing that families, how they're doing, it's not just a personal thing. It affects everyone. When families are thriving, the whole community thrives.
Okay, I get that. But what does that actually look like? I mean, what can we really do to create these supportive environments?
Well, for starters, think about the workplace, right? Imagine if flexible work schedules were just normal, not some special favor. Parents wouldn't have to choose between their job and their family. And taking time off to care for a sick kid, it wouldn't mean you get penalized financially or your career gets stalled.
That would be amazing. And what about, affordable childcare? That seems like a huge obstacle for so many families, especially those with little kids.
You're hitting the nail on the head there. Access to reliable and affordable childcare, that would be a game changer. It would mean that both parents could focus on their careers or their education, knowing their kids are safe and well cared for.
It's about having that peace of mind, knowing your kids are okay so you can be fully present wherever you are, at work or at home with them.
Exactly. And we can't forget about mental health support.
Mm.
Being a parent, it's tough, it's stressful. Having access to counseling, therapy, those things can give parents the tools to handle that stress, to build stronger relationships, and to get through all those challenges that come up along the way.
It's like giving them the resources to not just survive, but to really thrive in their role as parents. And let's be honest, when parents are thriving, their kids are much more likely to thrive too.
That's the truth. It's all connected. The speech also highlighted the importance of strong communities. Think about those neighborhoods where families feel supported, where everyone kind of feels responsible for raising the next generation.
Like the good old days, when neighbors actually knew each other's kids and looked out for them.
It's about fostering that sense of belonging, of knowing you're not alone in this whole parenting thing. It's about having people you can turn to for advice, for help, for just a shoulder to cry on when things get rough.
Listening to all this makes me wonder if maybe our culture, being so focused on the individual, has kind of accidentally made those community connections weaker. We're so focused on being independent that we forget how important it is to depend on each other, too.
That's a really deep thought. We're so used to doing everything ourselves that we don't even think to ask for help sometimes, even when we really need it.
And I think that's where this whole idea of changing society comes in, right? It's about creating a culture where it's not just okay to ask for help, but it's encouraged, where we see raising healthy, well-adjusted kids as a team effort, not just a solo mission.
It's about shifting that mindset from every family for themselves to we're all in this together. And honestly, I think that shift starts with each of us individually.
Okay, so let's bring it back to you, the listener. Think about your own life, your own family, your community. How can you contribute to creating this more supportive, more connected environment we've been talking about?
It could be something as simple as offering to babysit for a neighbor who's struggling, checking in on a friend who's going through a tough time, or speaking up at work, advocating for policies that are more family-friendly.
It's those small acts of kindness, of support, that when you add them all up across a whole community, they can really make a difference. And the speech makes this great point. It's not about being a perfect parent. That's not the goal.
Right. It's about making progress, not being perfect.
It's about showing up, being there for your kids, and doing the best you can with the resources and the support you have. And sometimes the best you can do is just ask for help.
So true. And remember, you're not alone in this. There are so many people, so many organizations dedicated to helping families. Don't be afraid to reach out, to connect, to build those support systems that can make all the difference.
That's a powerful message. And as we start to wrap up this deep dive, I think it's time to come back to one of the most impactful points from the speech, the profound importance of just being present in our children's lives.
Yeah, so focus on that for a minute.
The speech really highlights how crucial it is to really see and hear our children, to make those everyday moments count. It reminds us that it's not just about the big gestures or fancy activities. It's about those small, seemingly insignificant interactions that make up the fabric of family life.
It's about putting down our phones, turning off the TV, and really engaging with our kids, whether it's at dinner, during a bedtime story, or even just driving in the car.
It's funny. Sometimes the simplest things are the hardest to do consistently. It's so easy to get caught up in the busyness of life that we miss those chances to really connect.
You're absolutely right. But the speech reminds us that those seemingly small moments, they're actually the building blocks of strong relationships. It's in those everyday interactions that children learn to trust, to feel loved, to feel like they belong.
And it's in those moments that we as parents can kind of rediscover the joy and wonder of childhood.
It's about letting go of our to-do lists and our worries for a bit and just being present, right here, right now.
So, to everyone listening, I challenge you to think of one small step you can take today to be more present in your child's life.
It could be as simple as putting your phone away during meal times, giving your child your full attention when they're talking to you, or making an effort to be more playful with them.
It's about those small but intentional actions that show your child they are seen, they are heard, and they are valued.
And those small actions, over time, they add up to something truly amazing.
It's about building that strong foundation, that trust and connection that'll last a lifetime. Thinking back on everything we've talked about, it strikes me that this isn't just about parenting, it's about all kinds of relationships.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Everything we've discussed, being present, empathy, really understanding each other, those are important for any healthy relationship. Parents and kids, partners, friends, even coworkers.
That's so true. It's about remembering everyone's human, you know, putting distractions aside and really trying to connect with each other on a deeper level.
And honestly, these days, with everything moving so fast, that can feel pretty radical.
Hmm.
But like we saw from the research and everything in that speech, it really can make a huge difference in how we feel, both individually and as a society.
This whole deep dive has been a good reminder for me. Slow down, be more mindful, and really appreciate those everyday moments of
And
connection.
remember, it's not about being perfect, right?
Oh, absolutely not.
It's about making progress,
Yep.
not reaching some impossible ideal.
Exactly. It's about showing up as yourself, being present in the moment, and doing your best to create that loving, supportive environment where relationships can thrive.
And if there's one thing I really hope you take away from all of this, it's this. Never underestimate just how powerful your presence can be. Whether you're a parent, a partner, a friend, whoever you are, that ability to really see and hear the people around you, to give them your time and attention without judging them, that's an incredible gift.
I love that. And on that note, I think it's time for us to come back up from this deep dive, feeling refreshed, inspired, and ready to put the power of presence into practice in our own lives.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep connecting, and remember to make those everyday moments count.